close your eyes for a moment and just arrive in the space with me. If you can please put your right hand on your heart. Close your eyes if you like. And just take a deep breath. It's a gorgeous day out there. There's so many beautiful things happening here. I'm so grateful that you're all here. It's been months of running towards the finish line today, and we're so happy that we're gathering here. And yeah, I invite you to ask a question of how's your body doing? Also, how is your soul and heart? Also, do you really want to hear this talk? Or are you a little bit done with the talks and want to go downstairs for some art and experience? Please just do that and honor your body. I'll not be offended. And just really also think about the question of why are we here? Are we here to showcase some really cool products and services we built? To find new investment opportunities? To meet some old friends and new? Or are we here for something deeper? For meaning and for connection and for purpose and perhaps hope in a world that needs hope right now. Hope you can carry that question with you as we go into this talk. And is that a slide thing? Cool, thank you. All right, so this works, that's awesome, cool. So, amazing. If you would open your eyes, most people know, I do a lot better in conversations, so let's treat this as a conversation. If you have questions, please raise your hand and speak up. My name's Ming. I am a neuroscientist who studies consciousness and also a life-centric designer and systems thinker. I'm the co-founder of the Flourishing Systems Foundation and the Human+Tech collective. My co-founder, Lauren, is here in the audience. And both of these initiatives are designed to practically bring capitalism and tech back to serve humans and the planet, and not the other way around. And we can dive deeper into what that means. We have a whole track of talks tomorrow and workshops to dive into every aspect of it. Because we believe that we can sit here and have really awesome chats and go home and do the same thing, or we can start taking action now. So that's the orientation that I'm taking. And in design research, there's an exercise of 5 whys, which is continuously to ask your interviewee, why? Why do you take this action? Why do you do this? It inevitably annoys people, but it really gets at the heart of why we do what we do, and to help us question our own behavior and the context and systems around us. So I'll be asking a lot of whys. There might not be a lot of answers. And so I'm here to ask questions and also to extend an invitation to co-create and to dive deeper tomorrow. Because these questions are not a 15-minute stage talk questions. They are deeper conversations and work sessions and continued collaborations. With that, I will ask you the first why. Why do we create tech in the first place? Are we here to accelerate tech and science for progress' sake? Or are we here to really get at thriving and aliveness? What's the ultimate purpose of all the things that we create, from products to services, to communities, to organizations and ecosystems, and ultimately economies and our society? Are we, when AI gets here, are we still working 60 hours a week building startups? Or do we get to spend more time with our family? What does success look like? Does exponential growth of accumulating wealth and materials really definition of success? Or is there something else that we're searching for? And the second question is, why being human if we're doing things all the time, right? Are we really human beings, or are we human doings? When we think about all of these questions, ultimately it's what kind of world are we creating? Nicole mentioned in this morning, right, the entire system needs redesign. And we do have the tools. everything from life-centered design to regenerative economics. We have these things in our hands. They've been tried and tested and theorized for years. So let's bring that into the human-tech space. With that, I also want to ask the next why, which is, why human flourishing? I find it interesting that this is a topic of interest now. Top universities from Harvard to Stanford to MIT are having now institutes of human flourishing. In this context, in our tech ecosystem, we have every other pitch deck ends with accelerating X tech, therefore human flourishing. Why do we care? Shouldn't that be the whole point of what we're doing? And the reason why something is brought up as a term is because we're not flourishing. Our wealth has increased, not necessarily our well-being. And everything from teenage suicide to, bring the heavy topics, right? Political discord, if you have scrolled through Twitter today or in the past week, to climate crisis, LA being on fire, all these different types of poly-crisis. At the heart of it is the fact that we have far exceeded our planetary boundaries and our capacity to be humans and to be in harmony with our planet. And therefore, we're not really flourishing. So to bring it back to why we're here, these are signals that our systems are not working. So Nicole really wanted this talk to be about AI, so I'll bring in the very important part of AI, which is, like all technology, it's just another tool, right? I remember back in college at the University of Chicago when I was 18 years old, my dorm is right next to the mushroom cloud sculpture that is right on top of the field where the first nuclear chain reaction happened. So very much, we could have used nuclear power for energy, but instead, we used it to bomb Japan. Why do we do that? It's not because technology made the difference. It's because our collective consciousness at the time of World War II reflected distrust, reflected discord. And it was under such collective consciousness that we chose to use a very powerful technology to kill rather than to heal. So to bring it back to this context, is AI going to save us or destroy us? Is SF so back or not? That's not really the discussion, is it? It's about where is our collective consciousness leading us towards. And on that note, I want to say that flourishing, there are as many definitions of flourishing as there are probably people in this room. To us and to me and a lot of flourishing researchers, it comes down to a very simple one-word answer, which is flourishing is relational. If we are in isolation, optimizing for peak performance 365 days a year, are you really flourishing, or are you turning into a machine that creates more things? If we are not having more than 2 friends in our closest circle, which is about half of America right now, are we flourishing regardless of how much material you have? So relational depth, seasonal coherence, seasonal resilience, adaptability to our environment, coherence across our environments, all of these things matter. It comes down to the very simple point of connection. The 75-year-old Harvard study came down to one very simple fact. Connection matters to well-being. So I believe flourishing means everything that we do all to restore the connection we have lost with ourselves, with each other, with nature, and with the cosmos. And building upon that as a guiding principle towards flourishing, I think is a great place to start. Okay. Oh yeah, this is where the AI Save Us thing was supposed to happen. Oh well. So, will AI save us or not? I'm not sure, right? Would you rather building AI that will go out there and, recently we saw an app where AI replaces your fight with your girlfriend. So it's a very interesting thought. That is a very convenient thing to do, but at the same time, I really want to make our project that goes 6 months later, you get a text message from your girlfriend's AI to break up with you, and just to drive the point home, right? So suffice to say, to my earlier point, we're at an Oppenheimer moment. What do we do with AI is entirely up to us. We can use it to bypass our relationships, or we can do the hard work of fighting and communicating with each other and get better at our social skills and do inner work. E.O. Wilson said, I think back in 2009 at a Harvard panel, we are a species with Paleolithic emotions, so Stone Age emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. There's nothing more godlike so far that we have met than AI. But that is not to say our brains cannot evolve from being Stone-aged humans, and our institutions can very certainly evolve from medieval institutions, because they have been. So those come down to two things: a consciousness rewiring exercise from scarcity to abundance, from productivity to prosperity, from accumulationism to true inner and outer abundance. So I don't know that AI is going to save us, but we can save ourselves. What are we optimizing for? This is a very important question. I think everything I've said so far is probably it's no news to everyone here, because we're at a Human+Tech conference. But what's keeping us from all the beautiful things we're building, aggregating to something better, what's the door out of the prison that we're in? It actually comes down to what we're optimizing for. If we continue to go for engagement, monthly active user, exponential growth unicorns, and GDP, I don't know that we'll make it out. All those things have to go. The entire frame has to shift. When you think of it that way, you're like, wow, there's a lot to do here. It's kind of scary, but also super exciting. GDP is a super old, back of the napkin metric. How it became adopted as a worldwide metric for country success is very interesting and beyond me. So basically, if you're measuring success of a country by GDP, it's like saying, counting lines of code and see how good your software is. We're way beyond that. And we don't need 124 flavors of Kit Kat to do really well as human species. We need to take care of our elders and make sure our infants don't die. And out here on the streets in San Francisco, homeless people have a place to be. Right? These are the basics. Water. People need access to water. Sorry. Hopefully it's not too radical, but people need water. I mean, come on. Do we really need another, food delivery service in San Francisco? I don't think we do. So we're all brilliant innovators. You know the drill. But when you go to, put your deck together for the next pitch event, we get looped into creating enterprise SaaS. That's where, now it's AI SaaS, whatever it is, the next thing. But so that is a systemic problem, right? So what we need to optimize for needs to change. At the Flourishing Systems Foundation, one of the key pieces of work we're hoping to do as ecosystem builders is to do research. We've recently been working with Carson, Lauren, and quite a few regenerative folks about how might we have return to flourishing as indicators for success rather than return to investment. How can we tangibly move towards a stewardship model of investing where capital is only one of the resources that goes into growing a startup rather than being the dominating force that tells where we should go. In those tangible ways and more, we're hoping to make an actual change and hope you'll come to some of our talks tomorrow to hear more details. Okay, so last section. So conscious system change. So all of this comes down to we have the ability to rewire our brains. I spent the first chapter of my career studying, putting kids through fMRI machines, understanding how social networks around empathy and compassion and pro-social behaviors form in our brain, and what are the critical windows where our brains are plastic to form those connections. How might we feel love and compassion towards others? And the good news is most of us, right, there's only one person sociopath in the world. And even that neurodivergence has a usefulness in evolution. So most of us are born pro-social. Babies help each other. So the individualistic, utilitarian, maximizing framework is actually not natural to humans. So we're capable of change. Yes, we're wired for scarcity, but we can also wire for abundance. If we are in survival mode, we can also evolve beyond that. I'm not saying that capitalism is wrong, right? Again, use Chicago economics, but neoliberalism brought us the structures and the abundance that we needed to be here today, right? Marx had said, I grew up in China before I came to the United States at 14. Skipping capitalism, skipping accumulationism, directly socialism does not work. So I'm not blaming the past decades of development, but what I'm saying is we are in a place of evolution. Just like medieval times worked back then, it no longer works for us. We need to shed the skin as a snake, right, and keep evolving so that we can unblock human potential and we can unblock creativity. So all that is to say, the change starts in our nervous system. The more time we spend in embodied connection with each other, hopefully more in discussion circles and less on stage talks, and go experience all the beautiful art and experiences downstairs, the more you're connected to your body, we're aligned with our higher purpose, the more love and compassion we feel, the more likely that we'll be able to create things that align with us. So that's the inner work. And the outer work is to redesign systems to let us do that. And that does require a rewiring in capitalism. I will not shy away from saying that. And a lot of people here have already been engaged with that work for a long time. So my invitation is for you to join us tomorrow on stage 3 to discuss more around neurobiology of flourishing, organizational compassion, regenerative economics and investment, wisdom as wealth, life-centric design, embodied consciousness research and neurophenomenology, and this wealth of topics and humans are already operating in the flourishing frame. And hope you'll find some inspirations for how you build as innovators, how you invest as conscious investors, and how you go about system change. It does not have to be too big. It can start with your own brain and your own daily exercise of being a human. We don't need to change the world. We just need to remember why we came here. And the indicator for whether something is aligned is whether or not you feel alive. So we don't need more successful people telling each other what to do and accumulate more wealth. We need more people that have come alive so that we can liberate each other and the entire system. That's it.